This is a group of icons whose work and accomplishments have inspired, uplifted, and unified millions and millions of Americans. This is perhaps the most accomplished and renowned class of Kennedy Center honorees ever assembled. We have country music legend George. Got it? Turned off. Got it? We have country music legend George Strait. George, thank you very much. Let me do this right now, George. I think if you want to leave it on, you can. I think we can get it through.
Okay.
Oh, he's got good hair.
A little bit. I still got a little bit.
Surprised. Sometimes I take it off and there's not a lot.
There's not a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Today, we're breaking down one of the most talked about Senate hearings of the week, one that pulled together policymakers, experts, and administration officials to debate an issue that has become a national flashpoint. Whether you caught the hearing live or you're just trying to understand what all the noise is about, this video is going to walk you through what happened, why it matters, and what it could mean for everyday Americans trying to make sense of the political landscape. This is 45th Perspective, where we cut through the fog and look at the bigger picture behind the headlines. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and consider supporting the channel on Patreon at patreon.com/45th Perspective for as low as $5 a month. Your support keeps this kind of thoughtful analysis going. So, let's talk about this hearing. At the center of the debate were questions about government accountability, transparency, and the limits of federal power. Senators on both sides came in with strong positions, and the witnesses were pressed to explain decisions that have shaped policy over the last year. You could feel from the very start that this wasn't going to be a routine fact-finding session. It was clear that several lawmakers came prepared to make a point, not just to gather information. But that's often how these hearings go, especially when the topic hits the intersection of politics, public trust, and national direction. One of the first things that stood out was how differently each side framed the exact same set of facts. Lawmakers who were critical of current policy focused heavily on delays, inconsistencies, and what they described as an increasing disconnect between leadership and ordinary citizens. They argued that the American people deserve straight answers, clearer planning, and a stronger commitment to protecting their interests. To them, the hearing was an overdue moment of accountability, an opportunity to publicly confront what they see as negligence, mismanagement, or misjudgment. Throughout their questioning, there was a theme that something has gone off track and needs to be recalibrated, and that someone needs to take responsibility for how we got here. On the other side, senators aligned with the administration emphasized complexity, nuance, and the need to look beyond headlines. They argued that critics were oversimplifying a multifaceted issue, ignoring context, or intentionally selecting the worst-case interpretations for political gain. Their message, boiled down, was that governing is never as clean as commentary. Things evolve, circumstances shift, and decisions must sometimes be made with incomplete information. This side urged patience and insisted that the administration's approach, while not perfect, has been grounded in expert analysis and a desire to do the right thing in a difficult environment. Now, as I watched the hearing, one of the most interesting dynamics for me wasn't just the disagreement itself, but the way both sides used the same statistics and reports to argue completely different points. It really shows how numbers, data, and expert opinions can be interpreted through whatever lens people bring into the room. And that's something I think all of us, regardless of political leaning, should keep in mind. Facts matter, but perspective shapes how those facts are understood. Another key part of the hearing came when senators began drilling into the witness panel. You had officials attempting to defend past decisions, explain timelines, clarify misunderstandings, and correct what they saw as misinformation. There were moments when they appeared confident and moments when they looked cornered. Some answers were smooth and deliberate. Others seemed evasive, overly technical, or designed to run out the clock. And depending on which side of the aisle you listen to, you'll hear completely different interpretations of those same exchanges, either as proof of thoughtful leadership or evidence that the administration is avoiding accountability. But let's look at the substance for a moment, separate from the theatrics. The witnesses emphasized several constants: that their agencies have been coordinating across departments, that they've been monitoring developments closely, and that their recommendations are based on ongoing analysis. They insisted they have followed established protocols, adapted to new information, and worked to implement policies that balance both short-term needs and long-term stability. Whether you buy that explanation depends largely on where you stand politically, but it's important to at least know what their justification is. What also stood out was the tension around public trust. Multiple senators brought up how confidence in institutions has been declining for years, and they argued that this hearing was a necessary step in restoring transparency. You could tell many of them were not just speaking to the witnesses, they were speaking to the American people watching at home. They talked about kitchen table concerns, rising frustration, and the sense that average citizens feel unheard by the very leaders they're supposed to rely on. That sort of rhetoric isn't just political theater. It's a reflection of something real. A lot of people across the country do feel disconnected from Washington. And moments like these hearings become symbolic battlegrounds for winning back or further losing public trust. Something else worth noting is how the senators approached the solutions, not just the problems. Some pressed the witnesses for a clear-cut plan, demanding timelines, accountability mechanisms, and measurable goals. Others emphasized flexibility, arguing that rigid plans can break under pressure and that policy must stay adaptable. Again, you can see the ideological divide. One side believes strong oversight and strict accountability are essential. The other believes expertise and discretion, not political pressure, should drive decision-making. From my perspective, both sides have legitimate concerns. We should want accountability and transparency. We should want leaders to explain how decisions are made, why they're made, and what the consequences are. But we should also recognize that not every answer will be perfect, and not every decision is made in a neat, controlled environment. Most major national challenges are messy, overlapping, and unpredictable. The danger is when politics turns every complex issue into a simple talking point. That's when nuance gets lost, and the public ends up with arguments instead of understanding. Another major theme in the hearing was the question of preparedness. Are the relevant agencies equipped to handle what's unfolding? Are they anticipating the right problems? Are they coordinating effectively with other branches of government? Some senators argued that the administration is reacting instead of planning. Others said the criticism is unfair, given the unpredictable nature of global and domestic challenges. This is one of those areas where it's genuinely difficult to give a definitive answer without oversimplifying. In any large system, especially one involving government, science, economics, and public welfare, some level of friction and delay is inevitable. But it's also true that slow, unclear communication erodes confidence. What made the hearing especially compelling was that it wasn't just about what happened, it was about what happens next. Several senators pushed hard for commitments, new oversight mechanisms, more frequent reporting, and a clearer chain of accountability. The witnesses, to their credit, didn't dismiss those ideas outright. They acknowledged shortcomings and expressed willingness to improve communication. Whether that actually translates into results is a different question, one that will become clearer in the months ahead. Now, let's step back and talk about what hearings like this mean for ordinary Americans. Most people don't have the time to watch hours of government testimony. They rely on summaries, sound bites, or comments from people they trust. That means hearings play a huge role in shaping how the public interprets national issues, even when the public doesn't watch them directly. Senators know that. Witnesses know that. And that's why these events are always a blend of fact-finding, political signaling, and narrative building. For everyday Americans, the biggest takeaway might not be the technical details of the testimony but the larger picture. The government is grappling with a complicated issue, and there's real disagreement about how well it's doing. That disagreement can be productive. It forces scrutiny, debate, and awareness. But it can also deepen division if people treat political sides like sports teams instead of viewpoints. That's why I always encourage viewers of this channel to think critically, look beyond the headlines, and weigh the arguments on their substance, not on which party delivers them. It's also important to note that hearings like this don't usually produce instant change. They're part of a longer process, one where political pressure, public reaction, and administrative follow-through all play a role. But they do serve a purpose. They bring issues into the open, put officials on record, and force conversations that might otherwise stay behind closed doors. As the hearing wrapped up, you could sense that lawmakers were gearing up for continuing battles, legislative, rhetorical, and policy-driven. Both sides claimed victory in their own way. Critics argued the hearing exposed weaknesses in current policy and validated concerns long raised by the opposition. Supporters insisted the witnesses demonstrated competence, explained the complexities clearly, and pushed back effectively against attempts to frame the situation in the worst possible light. Whichever interpretation you lean toward, the reality is that this debate is far from over. Now, from my own perspective, taking a step back from the partisan back and forth, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. There are real concerns raised by critics that deserve to be taken seriously. Transparency should never be optional in a functioning democracy. The public should know why decisions are made and how they affect the nation. But it's also true that governance is more complicated than it appears from the outside. Oversimplified narratives can create unrealistic expectations, and blaming one side for every setback ignores the massive systems behind these decisions. The reason I find hearings like this valuable isn't because they produce dramatic gotcha moments, but because they reveal how leaders think under pressure. They show who has a grasp of the details, who understands the broader implications, who is willing to admit when something went wrong, and who tries to shift blame. They expose confidence, uncertainty, and the very human limitations of people in powerful positions. The broader implications of this hearing reach far beyond the immediate issue. They touch on national trust, the balance between security and liberty, the role of expert advice, and the power of government agencies in shaping the day-to-day life of millions of people. When senators debate these topics, they're not just arguing about policy, they're arguing about what kind of country America is and what kind it should strive to be. That's why it's important for us, as citizens, to stay informed. Not to get lost in outrage or frustration, but to understand the stakes and the systems at play. And as the hearing closed, the final statements made one thing clear. Both sides are preparing for more debate, more hearings, and more public engagement. No matter where you stand politically, it's worth paying attention. What was said in that room will shape talking points, policy proposals, and national discourse for months to come. So if you watched the hearing and came away with strong feelings, good. That means you're engaged. But I always encourage you to look at the entire picture. Listen to the arguments, not just the headlines. Challenge your own assumptions, even if it makes you uncomfortable. And never forget that politics isn't about the people on the stage. It's about the country that has to live with the consequences. That's the heart of what we try to do here at 45th Perspective. We break down the noise, we analyze the facts, and we look at how political decisions ripple into the real world. If you value this kind of thoughtful discussion, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/45th Perspective. Even $5 a month helps keep the lights on and lets us continue putting out in-depth content without cutting corners. I'd love to hear what you think about this hearing. What stood out to you? Do you believe the witnesses gave honest answers? Do you think the senators were fair in their questioning? And what do you think is the next step for this issue? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. As always, I appreciate you spending part of your day here with me. Stay thoughtful, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.
We have a great star of Broadway. I've seen the show many times and other shows of his. Michael Crawford. Michael, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Let me do that. Very good. Thank you, Michael. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beautiful. We have the disco queen, and she was indeed. And nobody did it like Gloria Gaynor. Gloria, thank you very much. Oh, that's a good head of hair. That's beautiful. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling. A friend of mine, a wonderful person, a spectacular person, one of the true great movie stars. There aren't many. There used to be a lot. There aren't many now. But he's one of the great legends and had some of the greatest movies ever, including the top grossing movies ever. Sylvester Sly Stallone. Sly. Thank you. Proud of you. This is great, Sly. It's an honor.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Should I
Thank
go
you.
over here? Thank
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Sly. And the members of the incredible rock band Kiss, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss, and Ace Frehley, who now is resting in peace, and his beautiful daughter is here to accept the award. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you. That's pretty good stuff, huh? Let me turn that around. Thank you. That's great. My friend for a long time.
Thank you, Mr.
That's good.
President.
Thank you very much. My friend for a long time. Okay, that's good.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
It's an honor.
And I think your father would be very happy to have you wear this, okay? Thank you very much. He's a great guy. Thank you very much. Those are great people. In a few moments, we will be presenting these stars with their Kennedy Center honors medallions, which were redesigned this year with the help of the fantastic team at Tiffany and Company, and I want to congratulate them. They have done a fantastic job. They're wonderful people. I know them very well because they're right next to Trump Tower. I've lived with them for many years, and they really have done a great job. So I want to thank Tiffany. Thank you very much. We're also joined by members of the Kennedy Center Board of Trustees who are doing a really great job. And as you know, the building is being renovated, fully renovated. It's being I would say fixed at a level that nobody's ever seen before. We're going to make it something really special. It's been tired. It's been mistreated, a little bit like the White House has been mistreated, to be honest with you. And we're bringing it back to a level that I don't think any place in the country will see. We were given quite a bit of money by Congress to do the job, and we're doing it right. And you'll see the new marble and the renovated marble and all of the different rooms, major auditoriums. The sound is so fantastic. One of the very big prerequisites, and something that doesn't happen often, is when you have great sound, you take advantage of it. And the Kennedy Center has great, great sound. If they build it, fellas, you know this. Gloria, you would know it very well. George, you'd know it very well. Oh, Michael would know it so well. But if it's built with bad sound, you never get it fixed, right? It just doesn't work. They've tried very hard at Lincoln Center and other places and hasn't worked out too well. But I just want to thank the executive director, Rick Grinnell. Rick, thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. Ambassador Sergio Gore, ambassador to India. Thank you, Sergio. Great job. And other friends and distinguished guests, Mr. and Mrs. Ike Perlmutter. So many people are here that are great friends. Mrs. Fisher, thank you very much. Very much. We have some unbelievable people on the board, the most prestigious board, I think, now, maybe in Washington. From Newark, New Jersey to Poteet, Texas, from New York City to as far away as London. These are among the greatest artists, actors, and performers of their generation, the greatest that we've seen. We can hardly imagine the country music phenomena without its king of country, or the American disco without its first lady, or Broadway without its phantom. And that was a phantom, let me tell you. Or rock and roll without its hottest band in the world, and that's what they are. Or Hollywood without one of its greatest visionaries. Each of you has made an indelible mark on American life, and together you have defined entire genres and set new standards for the performing arts. You have set new standards. On behalf of every American who has been inspired by the unbelievable talent of Michael Crawford, who has been influenced by the music of George Strait or Gloria Gaynor or Kiss, or who has been moved by Sylvester Stallone's unmatched heart and talent and grit, because nobody played that role, and nobody will ever play that role like Sly. We want to thank you all. We want to thank you all. Really tremendous. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to have a good time tonight. I look forward to celebrating with all of you at the Kennedy Center tomorrow. And it's going to be something that I believe, and I'm going to make a prediction, this will be the highest rated show that they've ever done. And they've gotten some pretty good ratings, but there's nothing like what's going to happen tomorrow night. So I just want to thank you all. I want to congratulate you all. And I want to thank the media. They've treated this with such great respect. We very much appreciate it. Now we're going to go to the State Department with Secretary of State Rubio and have a special event, something which was never done before, but we never had a president hosting the awards before. This is the first. I'm sure they'll give me great reviews, right? You know, they'll say, he was horrible. He was terrible. It was a horrible situation. No, we'll do fine. I've watched some of the people that host. Jimmy Kimmel was horrible. Some of these people, if I can't beat out Jimmy Kimmel in terms of talent, then I don't think I should be president. But I want to just thank you all because this is a special night, and I think you're going to see that at the end of this evening, and by the end of these 2 days, you're going to say this is one of the most special days in your life, and I think a few of you have already told me it already was. So thank you all very much. Congratulations, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, media. Thank you very much. Please. Thank you.